Hi, this is James Meeting. I'm going to explain how to use Navisworks and how to do some basic navigation on a model. So first open up your NWD file, and you can also open up 3D DWF files if somebody's provided those. Okay, so the model opens up, should look something like this, and you're going to need to display the steering wheel. That's this little gizmo that follows the cursor around. If it's not open, and if this thing's not open, you want to go to the View tab and hit navigation bar, and it should show up somewhere. It's not always over here, I think. And then for the full navigation wheel, I usually come down here and I'll pick it like that. Okay, so it shows. So then the way this works is you can zoom in and out just by clicking and dragging that portion of the wheel. It takes a little bit to get used to it first, because when you move the cursor, it kind of follows, and then you're not in the right spot, and then you have to move the cursor back. So if you want to click zoom and you want it to center on a particular point, you would move it till the word zoom is over the point you want to center on, and then slide your cursor up and drag in and out, and it automatically locates that little green ball, which is like the center point. Now another thing that you want to do is use orbit. So when you orbit, it rotates the view around wherever the center pivot is. Sometimes you want to locate that pivot yourself. So maybe I want it over here. So I'll move my cursor over, hit center, and move that thing wherever I want. Then I can hit orbit, and don't orbit right over the thing. Move the cursor away and hit orbit, and then it'll let you rotate it how you want. And of course you can pan. That's a useful thing. Okay, so that's sort of general viewing, and one thing to notice is when I go to the viewpoint tab, I'm in orthographic, because I can also switch to perspective, but that's a little bit harder to navigate in. The orbit kind of acts funny sometimes. This is actually behaving nicely, but it can get interesting. So a lot of times I'll have to hit perspective, or I'm sorry, orthographic. Another thing, if you get lost, like if you're way out here in space, something like this, and you can't figure out what's going on, you can hold down on rewind and slide this thing back to get to where you want to be. That's a pretty handy little feature. Okay, so I'm in perspective right now. I'm going to switch back to orthographic and zoom in on this. Okay, so another mode that you can do is called walking. So I'm going to pan so that I'm kind of like close in on this thing. Then we go to the viewpoint and say walk. First I'm going to pick on the realism, say collision, gravity, third person. Then I'll hit walk, and it puts a little guy there, and you can click and drag with your mouse, and he'll move forward, and he'll also drop down. The gravity's pulling him down. Now this guy's going kind of slow, so I'm going to go over here to navigate, and linear speed, change this to, actually that's pretty big. I'm going to change it to like 300. Okay, so back to walking. So it takes the guy a little while to drop down sometimes. And if he drops down not on top of the surface, then you need to do the little rewind and bring him back. Okay, so when you roll your wheel on your mouse, it changes the angle of the horizon that you're looking at. So the way you steer this guy is you just click and move the mouse forward, and to the right will rotate him to the right. So it's kind of like he's chasing the little feet that are in front of him. And then you can move this guy around and find a nice hillside maybe to look at, and you can also use the arrow keys. You can rotate to the right, rotate to the left. There's actually some other things you can do, some other navigation modes, but I'm just going to show these. So you can use the arrow to move him forward. So if the mouse is kind of confusing, then I switch to using the arrows. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go to the edge of the project. Let's get up here. I'll get to the edge of the project and kind of look where I want to be, and then I'll just run him forward straight at it, and then he'll get up on top here, and then I can rotate him around and look. I get him right to the edge. Okay. And I apologize, my little guy there doesn't have any pockets. I commonly get comments that he needs pockets, so that's the bad part of the software, is he's missing pockets. Anyway, use arrow keys to get used to that, and you can kind of set up viewpoints so that you can see what's going on. So give that a try.